As the silent mystic, Toshi was the together. Rising stars exemplified what up until it all. Admirers thought it was real love. Came tumbling down. But it's not only another breakup in Hollywood. This is the Lisa Bonet hid a secret for years during keeping her union with Jason Momoa a secret. So destroying it destroyed the appearance of the ideal pair and disclosed something much more sinister underneath, and after you find out what it was, you will comprehend why this isn't merely depressing, but Lisa Bonet's terrible illusion of harmony and Jason Momoa used to be the personification of an intensely private fairy tale. Romance, but unquestionably captivating to the general public, they appeared to be the ideal duo. Finding a balance between compassion and creativity, tranquility and passion, Jason, with his imposing size and tough charm, said that Lisa's otherworldly together. Their contemplative nature made them seen as the tangible evidence that two distinct realms, including one of fame and the alternative to solitary creation, could combine to create something transcendent. There the romance seemed to represent a smooth combination of spiritual wisdom and Hollywood glamour, but underneath the formation of fissures had started long before the outer world might see them. The pair is so compatible with one another. Had started to live in a different emotional realms. Lisa is constantly self-reflective and firmly rooted in her heritage, herself torn between her wish for privacy and the constant infringement of the notoriety that followed Jason's. Lisa's booming career had long been the intriguing, almost mysterious, the opposite of Jason's larger-than-life persona. Yet as time passed, she started to feel the strain of the eyes of the public, and it wasn't only that she was disturbed by the flashing cameras. Was the weight of keeping a truth from being revealed so private and intimate that she was unable to muster the courage to speak. Jason's admiring supporters and their group fixation on their connection alone to the widening emotional divide. The truth, though, would soon come to light, revealing the fundamental rooted problems that had grown in their ostensibly perfect union: fame's price and liberty. As Jason's career took off, so additionally the requirements of his acquired fame. He was thrown into a realm of magazine covers, red carpets, and prominent debuts, each of which pledged greater authority, greater recognition, and greater status. But each honor comes with Jason discovered that he was farther away from the universe Lisa had co-created own hands. The ongoing media focus on his profession meant that each time he spent with co-stars at all times and casual conversation was examined. Jason was photographed by paparazzi in several comfortable press appearances alongside actors such as Amber Heard and Emilia Clarke, while Lisa, the pictures were probably harmless, allegedly became weary of doing the recognizing the role of a wife when tabloids utilized such pictures to promote rumors about distinctions between the expert and personal. Clouded and appeared too innocuous to him started to weaken Lisa's faith in him, because Lisa's renown had always been a two-edged weapon that she possessed left the Hollywood fame long before she was in a relationship. Jason, however, would rather nurture her spiritual development and attention to her family. The peaceful existence she treasured started to seem unattainable. Preserve the privacy she used to value was eroded by the lights that flashed and the publicity that accompanied Jason's ascent to fame. But what was more agonizing than the sensation of loneliness was the main focus that went with it. As Jason relaxed in the midst of millions, Lisa discovered herself more and more alone, finding it difficult to make amends with the lady she used to be. With her current way of living in the silent times in their relationship when the cameras had been shut down, and as her celebrity waned, Lisa started to face a hard reality that Jason's flirtations with his public co-stars' expressions of love for other people were beyond merely innocent moments. They were not only betrayals of their union, but to the trust's fundamental basis together they had constructed, and she had always encouraged Jason and supported his career, supporting his achievements, but also his notoriety. As her sense of isolation increased, so did behind the grins and the well-groomed public displays the fissures in their connection was growing, and Lisa discovered that she was living with the calm suffering from a reality she could not yet. As the days passed, she even admitted to herself from months to years, and from months to years Lisa was consumed by her secret, was weary of the charade and weary of the lies, fed up with feeling unnoticed in a connection that was intended to uplift her. She was unable to contain it. Lengthier, as though the weight of the weight of betrayal was too great to carry, so it was only a question of time. Prior to the truth being revealed, the unspoken rumors would eventually result into heated, gut-wrenching debates where words cut and passions flowed high. Lisa would find herself in the depths of awkward situation of facing Jason regarding the accusations, in every discussion burdened by the weight of unsaid fears and treachery. Throughout those times, Jason would offer an apology and a promise of improvement, but the trust that had held their relationship together started to weaken. Lisa's ability to forgive to proceed, but every betrayal left what was the scar that never completely healed. The people didn't see what Lisa found it difficult to acknowledge, how alone she grew, so agitated that she retained the hiding fissures while maintaining a unified front that concealed the internal conflict she felt of oneself after being filled with the joy and freedom that had characterized her started to fall apart in her personal space. Own ideas, she would inquire as to whether the ongoing suffering made the facade worthwhile. Her journal turned into a sanctuary of refuge, where the truth might proliferate without judgment, in which she was able to express. She was unable to publicly express a pattern of devastation over the years. The trend became scandalously familiar. There would be rumors that led to arguments that seemed too much like the ones previously. Each new betrayal appeared to be a continuation of the previous vicious loop that didn't really cease. "I felt invisible," Lisa once told each of her friends. Betrayal introduced a new degree of destruction, but the impact of one betrayal was greater, more than most. During Jason's onset relationship with a co-star throughout the 2019 filming of C garnered media attention. Lisa dismissed it at the time, but insiders claim that it sowed the first actual seed of mistrust. When Jason's career took off in 2020, disagreements started to recur. Following her Golden Globes appearance, Lisa had a public tantrum while Jason was there, behind to talk with a well-known model. Whilst together, they were gonna return home. It was difficult to overlook the pattern. His attention is constantly diverted to other. Charm was used on everyone but her. Jason's actions weren't the only thing that hurt Lisa. It was the psychological cost of addressing his errors again and over again, in addition to her own wish to protect, public pressure to improve their image. Extra layer on top of the weight she currently has carried, the same treachery that surfaced repeatedly, as if it were clockwork afterward. Jason was pictured in Hawaii alongside his co-star, and even though Lisa could sense the strain in their smiles building when Jason got home, Lisa presented what she had observed to him. The evidence was consistently hazy, only a hint of excessive attention. He would apologize for the flirtation, but the harm. Lisa observed the same cycle after it was finished. Repeated over and over again, the arguments increased in frequency, and the reconciliations are becoming less meaningful. Each time Jason made a vow, it would be unique. Each time he pledged to would alter. Lisa gave herself permission to hope, But she knew in her heart that hope was so short-lived that nothing ever really moved. The fissures would constantly resurface. It would always be returned by the betrayals. Lisa quickly came to the realization that she was bearing the responsibility for the connection on its own. Her affection for Jason hadn't disappeared. It had changed into something else. A tired dedication to AA partnership that no longer felt like there was no longer any joy in her own. The spark is no longer present in the calm moments that used to make their relationship feel so actually. The only thing she could sense was the steady, relentless exhaustion, the never-ending loop searing pain, and the unspoken query that how long did it linger in her mind? Lisa, might she continue to act like this by 2021? Could not be located during Jason's significant career achievements. He received the part in the Aquaman sequel, and while fans, Lisa retreated even further in celebration, and an Instagram photo showed their most recent family time. But it failed to reveal what was taking place behind Jason's smiles. Was surrounded by co-stars, friends, and praise. But Lisa felt like a phantom in the Uncommon Interview magazine article from 2022. Lisa considered her emotional condition, stating, "Being myself and my true self was the most agonizing lesson that was taught. An uncommon look inside the silent storm that had brewed behind her calm facade." She subsequently remarked, "I was sick of it all." These straightforward yet comprehensive terms represented the cost of years of attempting to maintain a relationship in spite of the ongoing emotional devastation. And in the depths of her fatigue, Lisa reached a terrible insight that no amount of sorry, no amount of assurances could restore the harm that had been caused by the emotional toll was too much, and she was uncertain whether she could go on paying it. And consequently, the fissures that had been concealed for a long time, those indicators of eventually, the weakening foundation became. It is hard to overlook the moment of as the years passed. Resigned clarity. Jason and Lisa Bonet's flaws. Momoa's bond grew stronger than restore. What was once an intense and idyllic romance has turned into an agonizing battle for survival. The glitz and the excitement of its early time together had long since diminished, replaced by the burden of treachery and unresolved dispute over Jason's infidelity. Real betrayals, not merely rumors. Things frequently occurred in real time and in front of a crowd. Every fresh charge, every fresh murmur served as a reminder of the contradiction between her former partner and loved and the companion who was consistently. The emotional toll was sliding away, smothering the never-ending loop of dispute resolution and forgiveness, followed by the assurance of a transformation that never appeared, creating an unbreakable trap. And in the quiet of those extended nights of insomnia when the house was, Lisa continued to confront the fact that the persistent relationship could not be saved. Stress of keeping a secret that was too burdensome to disclose, and a partner as well deeply denying that the love had been replaced by a silent, oppressive. Lisa had reached the brink of resignation, of no return. Where there was hope for recovery, this knowledge dissolved into despair. Was neither abrupt nor dramatic. Was the result of years of little hurts, each one making the next more difficult to endure. Lisa understood the foundation at that very time of their connection was irrevocably broken, and any effort to fix it would, by the time of their separation, be futile. In January 2022, the public was informed the story had been meticulously crafted to depict the breakdown of their marriage as a choice made by both parties after birth outside of a family's organic development and transition. A revolution during the change was the way the joint statement framed the conclusion of their connection as a whole, philosophical and unavoidable, But those who knew the couple well witnessed the fractures long before the official notification concealed beneath the well-crafted words. And wrote declarations Lisa had been enduring a burden in silence, that Lisa's secret was never a secret. A spectacular betrayal or a sensational affair, no. It was much more subtle than that. It was the gradual deterioration of trust that had accumulated over time. The burden of being aware of Jason's actions has already broken what had been a holy link when the media is focusing remained obsessed with their public persona. Insiders started speculating that underneath Lisa had been weeping on the surface a loss for a lot longer than anyone realized. The psychological toll has gradually diminished her soul, and in spite of her efforts to keep her cool, she was broken that the true tale was never shown to the world. The fatigue that went along with the facade of an ideal family, the split was not a choice reached in concert with grace, but the unavoidable ending of a relationship destroyed by Lisa's infidelity and emotional neglect, internal disintegration, and the silent unraveling of her aspirations for a future together was far from the idealized depiction of the universe would subsequently hear that it was a slow secret unraveling of an undetected collapse by everyone but her closest friends and family, who saw her withdraw inside herself of the shell of the once strong lady following the joint. Jason sighed. The statement that was made was courteous, Wade, but Lisa's heart had broken much before the general public did. Declaration that the truth had been suppressed beneath layers of quiet, and it was more than just a marriage ending. It was the last action of releasing the burden of everything they had been. Everything she had given up now appeared to like a faraway recollection. Yet for Lisa, it was obvious that she had had enough. Now it was time to go for a walk at last. Away after effects and broken Jason's delusions following their split. The public life of Momoa changed into a new. The first chapter is characterized with romance, interconnections, and efforts to changing his public persona. The illumination that previously only radiated on his charisma and alluring demeanor danced around the pandemonium on the periphery now. Rumors circulated about his personal life, about each other's new partnerships, more visible than before, as though he was keen to must demonstrate his ability to get past the heartbreak while feeling at peace. But for those who had observed their relationship collapse from the inside out, the actual price of the distance was much deeper. Compared to what the headlines said, for the fallout was not felt by those closest to him. Just a split, that was the devastation of a family. Jason's apparently interminable cycle of amorous adventures intended to conceal the hurt caused by his failing marriage could never satisfy the gap that was left in his quest for notoriety and the admiration he received, leaving behind something much more valuable. The confidence of the woman who had watched his deterioration over a long period of time. Of their relationship was a gradual, agonizing process. However, its impact was most noticeable in the peaceful times away from the spotlight. The psychological fallout was frequently buried beneath his performance efforts and portray a romanticized image of himself to the world, but only to those closest to him might perceive the fissures behind the facade, fractures brought on by betrayal and unsaid pain, with the gradual disintegration of a partnership that was never intended to bear the burden of such enduring lies. As Lisa Bonet pulled back farther away from the spotlight than Jason, who took solace in the limelight, Lisa found comfort in withdrawing herself in silence from the spotlight of celebrity. But even in her isolation, she bore the burden of a terrible reality that had been for years hidden deep within. It was as she had never fully disclosed a secret that reflected the disintegration of their affection as the world went on to the drama of celebrity life and spin pushed Lisa's quiet to speak behind her serene exterior. There was the unknown tale of a woman who had fallen in love with all of her heart, only to feel exhausted by the frequent treachery that amid the suffering in her relationship. The bore wasn't merely the breakdown of a marriage, but the year's emotional toll devoted time to a man who, in spite of all his being famous, had made her feel inconspicuous, and the actual cost of their years was not heard. Collectively concealed from the general public was a narrative that would never be comprehended by someone who only observed the sparkle and splendor in the background. There were silent moments of destruction. Each of them left a scar that was impossible to be completely recovered from. Lisa's separation was more than just a shift in her status of the relationship. It was the result of years of individual give-up, emotional fatigue, and a constant weight of unacknowledged suffering. Lisa's last reckoning, after years of trapped in a relationship by yourself, where her presence was perceived more as in duty as opposed to emotional and spiritual relationship. She had remained in the marriage despite feeling alone, because she was supposed to do it. What the public loved about Jason Momoa, his captivating appeal and imposing presence, seems to possess all the wanted by the world, but behind the curtains, he was a man's attention straying away from her in their lives together and into